will be saved by those that know it. But if you don't read it and study it and understand the original intent, then good luck. Unfortunately, there's not enough people that have read it and studied it and understand the original intent. So I would implore you that are watching this video, that's your best defense, is to know the truth. Truth is its own defense. No matter if the Wall Street Journal, Barron's, Financial Times, Time Magazine, Newsweek, Foreign Affairs, all the major TV stations, if they're anti-constitution and love war all over the world and having troops in 188 countries and bankrupting our country, doesn't mean you have to love those things. If your family doesn't want you to talk at the dinner table or thinks you're a lunatic because you believe in what Dr. Ron Paul believes in and what I believe in and what millions of great Americans believe in, try not to worry about it. You know, Rush had a great song back in the 70s, Conform or Be Cast Out. You'll get cast out if you don't conform. Most people are cowards. Most people are absolute cowards. They're afraid. And I can understand why. At the same time, there's a lot of you out there that you'd rather die than submit. It's called freedom. God's about freedom. That's why I love that movie Braveheart so much. They're disemboweling, the character, William Wallace in that movie, and he still is yelling freedom. Well, there's a lot of Americans. And I can tell there's a lot of Brits, New Zealanders. God bless you folks. I got people from New Zealand, from, some of the Swedish people, God bless you, you're kind of liberal. Canadians, people from the UK, all you folks out there, way to be for freedom. People from the East Coast, people from Southern Cal, some people from Utah. Most people here in Utah are basically completely clueless about a lot of things, but it is an interesting place to live because there's also a lot of clued in people. Okay, that's the Constitution. Let's talk about the economy. People are barely talking about recession. As you know, I predicted depression, and it's going to come de facto. You think I'd go over well working at Fidelity or Goldman Sachs or Blackstone? Of course not. They don't want to know the truth, and frankly, those people, they don't know the truth. Wall Street Journal, it's a pretty old one, but I collect things like this. July 6, 1981, July 6. Federal Reserve policymaking arm meets today and tomorrow to deliberate in detail on the controversial tight credit rates that have kept interest rates near records. The prime rate was raised to 20.5% from 20% by Chase Manhattan. Okay, we're talking 1981. You might know there was a recession back then. Well, let's just think clearly. And I know there's a lot of people that say, Brent, I don't understand the stock market, and it's okay. That's okay. Or Brent, I don't understand this, or Man of Truth, or MOT, or whatever they want to call me. Let's make it, simplify it. But they understand important principles in their heart, like getting ready for the catastrophe that's coming. If the prime rate's at 21%, back then mortgage rates were at 14%, there was room to lower interest rates to revamp the economy. Right now, the prime rate was it 6%? I don't even follow, I follow it, but I forget whether it's 6% or whatever. Mortgage rates, I know at about 6%. The Fed's been lowering rates. Is there a lot of room to move down to save this economy? No, there isn't. The Fed's been lowering rates. What's been happening to the price of gold? Hit 914, almost 915 today. That means, like I said in the former video, people are getting rid of their dollars. People are getting rid of their dollars. What, we're going to expect China, a communist country, to come in and save our largest financial institutions? The United States has violated cardinal principles of truth, has gone into tremendous debt, has let international bankers control our monetary system, and now the party's over. The party's over. As far as the current economic system, we can call it Babylon, we can call it whatever. It's over. Are there going to be survivors from this financial collapse? Yes. Is your pension going to be good in 10 or 15 years? No. Will the United States see hyperinflation? Yes. Will the dollar collapse? Yes. When will it collapse? I don't know exactly. I'm a graduate of Brigham Young University. Okay? Let's talk a little bit about BYU for a second. Unbelievable but true. Dick Cheney was the commencement speaker at BYU. We'll just leave that one right there. And let's talk about one of the speeches at the BYU graduation. Was by the head of the alumni. And this man had the audacity to get up and give a speech in front of everybody at the Marriott Center and laud the Rothschild family as the family to emulate. Yep. He actually spoke about how wonderful it was that the Rothschilds spread out throughout Europe. The five sons went and opened central banks in 5 different countries, and that BYU students could do well to emulate that kind of use of human capital. Much of us believe in the Constitution here in Utah. Were mortified, horrified, and couldn't quite believe it. And a lot of people still don't quite believe it unless unless you've seen a video clip about it or something like that. But it was amazing. So BYU going from being in Utah a bastion of conservatism to being, promoters of the New World Order is it's something to watch. It's something very intense to watch. I think, that one should be careful whatever institution they attend and question everything. Think for yourself. Get the books out and think for yourself. I met somebody the other night here in Salt Lake City, and I know stream of consciousness, but it just shows you herd thinking and restricted thinking and lack of free thinking. But I met somebody, and this woman said she'd been a 4th wife. And then she said, I was kicked out, I was excommunicated from the Mormon church, and I thought, whoa. And then she said, you'll never guess why. And, I'd seen Big Love a couple times, and actually, I don't have HBO, but I find it pretty interesting to watch that show. And so I thought, I bet maybe she got excommunicated for polygamy. And sure enough, she goes, I got excommunicated because I was a 4th wife. I thought, whoa, that's pretty interesting. And then she said she didn't particularly like her husband, but she loved her children, and she loved the way all the children could play with each other. And so I kind of listened to that. She goes, yeah, the children had a blast when they'd get together. So I kind of contemplated that. I thought about that, and I thought about another family I'd seen, because Utah's an interesting place, where they'd have a family basketball game, and there was 5 boys on each side, and they were all from the same family. And it's hard to comprehend that if you're not around Utah, but rarely you'll see stuff like that. And you don't necessarily know, but they were all from the same family. Most of them from the same father, evidently. And I think the father had several wives. But I thought about that, and then I was channel flipping like the next day, and there I was on CNN, and boom, all of a sudden, Larry King had a clip on Big Love, and it showed the youngest wife on Big Love talking to Bill Paxton about having a 4th wife, and I'm going, holy cow, this is like blowing my mind here. And I thought, geez, that's amazing. And so it's interesting because Mormons are scared to death, ones that go to church all the time. They're scared to death to talk about their own history about polygamy. I mean, to death. And I kind of don't blame them, because they could get excommunicated for even talking about it. That's how oppressive it is out here as far as freedom of thought. But I have to, Tom Hanks has kind of been amazing with Da Vinci Code, talking about Jesus being married and having offspring. And then, from what I understand, he's one of the producers of Big Love, which basically, devout Mormons out here, they won't watch it. It's taboo. It's verboten. So here, even though this was founded by pioneers that came out here to practice polygamy and practice their religion, now it's illegal to do it in this state, and it's the most repressive state, I believe, in the union as far as plural marriage or polygamy goes. And so it's just amazing and very interesting.